right, I'm hoping everybody's doing well and enjoying the holidays. So, I guess I wanted to talk and play a little bit about some of the things that I've been working on. So, primarily it's the T word, tone. I'm pretty happy with where I'm at in terms of my jazz tone because I think for me it's always a journey. I've always wanted to be able to pick up any guitar and dial in a signature sound, a sound that I feel comfortable with. And that sound has always been like what I call a warm brown tone, which is typically, just rolling the tone a little bit back. It always starts off with a clean amp with some headrooms. I probably lean towards the old school polytone type sound. So hence is why I play the Hendrickson as my primary amp. So flipped the script a couple of months ago. I got, I would say it's basically a 57 custom champ. A buddy of mine made it for me. It's called the Langy Champ. So, and it's a 5 watt all tube amp. I really liked it. So it just originally had like a tone button, but then he put originally he just had a volume button, but then he put a tone button and he put like a 3-way switch that gets you a tweed, a silver face kind of setting, and something else. So basically, it's what I would call a souped up 57 custom champ. So circuitry is identical from that perspective, and I've really enjoyed it. So then I became more fascinated with just tube amps in general. So I had owned Blues Junior years ago, and and there are people who just swear by tubes, and obviously with the way technology has improved, there are some great solid state amps specifically for jazz. But I always wanted to know why everybody loved tubes so much, and I think for being what the attraction is obviously it's a beautiful warm sound that you get, but really I think it's when the tubes get hot and the stuff starts breaking up. So I don't really play that style, like that Stevie Ray Vaughan kind of thing going on. I love it. There's a lot of guys on the net that play like that, and they swear by these tube amps and boutique amps, all over the place, from the Gremlin and things of that nature to, obviously Fender deluxe reverbs. That's one that's very popular, and most of these boutique amps are made off of that. They're basically better versions of Fender amps from that perspective. So anyway, flip the script. What does this have to do with jazz? A couple of jazz players I've been listening to that I wouldn't say that are incorporating distortion, but they're using pedals. I would call them like the new school of jazz players. I think like guys like, I wouldn't even say new school in the sense, but you had Adam Rogers, you've got Gilad Hexelman, you've got Mike Moreno, obviously, you got Julian Lage, but to a separate extent, he doesn't really use a lot of pedals. He's basically a Fender guy with a telly or some other thing, and let his fingers do the talking from that perspective. So I'm listening to these jazz guys who are contemporary jazz players who tend to be younger. They have like pedal boards, and they're using things like Strymon pedals, things like delay effect, and obviously you've got guys like Pat Metheny who used a lot of delay, and I love Pat, but I was never really into that sound, to be honest with you. I'm a traditional jazz guy. I grew up listening to the Wes Montgomery and the Joe Pass, Pat Martinos of the world. Just plug in, nothing else in between you, just you and your amp, the Grand Greens of the world. But these young guys, the Mike Morenos of the world, the Goliath Hexelman of the world, they got pedals like rock guys because they grew up playing rock. And so I've become fascinated with, okay, so all right, you got this jazz sound that's clean, and then you got these guys, and most of them, if not all of them, are using tube amps of some sort, either boutique amps or using something Fender as a foundation. So I've been playing around with that a little bit. So this is a long-winded way of saying that I love some of the overdriven sounds, the natural overdriven sounds of a tube amp, a little bit more than any pedal that I've ever owned. And these other things like the delays and the reverbs, the Strymon pedals, the Julian pedals and things like that, they're great and they add texture, but sometimes I think that I don't want to play pedals, I want to play the guitar. That's just me. I don't want to be the edge. I love the guy, I love YouTube, but that's not what I want to do. I don't want to have to program something. I don't want to have to get a doctorate from MIT or things of that nature. Now, having said all of that, some of these guys, if not most of them, are legit players, and they can flow. They can flow. So, I want to experiment a little bit with that. So along the way of talking a little bit about some of the things I want to work on moving in 2022 some more, is not stray away from my jazz sound foundation, but really explore some of the tonalities of jazz guitar, some of the instrumentation, some of the pedals, and even some amps and stuff. I mean, I think I'm always going to play who I am, and try to keep my purity. But hey, everybody has to have growth, and you can't keep playing just exactly what you always play. So I'm in a little bit with some distortion stuff, or not distortion, but overdriven sound. But we'll start off with a little clean here. And this is a totally naked sound. So that means there is no reverb on this. This is just my fingers and a tube amp that I'm going to start off clean with a lower volume, and then I'm going to crank it up a little bit.